Have you ever wondered if God still speaks? Not from mountaintops or burning bushes, not with thunder, lightning, or booming voices echoing through the sky. But in softer ways. Quieter ways. In stillness. In symbols. In the silent language of the soul. You might not hear words, but you feel something. A pull in your chest. A warmth in your core. A peace that wasn't there a moment ago. That is the whisper. That is how the divine speaks. The truth is, God has never stopped speaking. We've simply stopped listening. We've made our lives so loud, so crowded, so distracted, that the quiet voice of truth has to compete with 1,000 notifications, a dozen deadlines, and a never-ending stream of thoughts. But when we slow down, when we breathe, when we choose presence over pace, something extraordinary begins to happen. We hear what's always been there. The divine. Waiting. Whispering. Guiding. God doesn't force. God doesn't demand. The sacred voice is never coercive. It's invitational. It calls, it nudges, it stirs something deep inside. And it's always rooted in love. Even when it asks you to leave something behind. Even when it challenges you to grow. Even when it shows you something uncomfortable. Because that whisper always knows who you truly are. Let's talk about how the divine speaks. There are many languages God uses, but 3 are most common. The first is intuition. That sense of knowing without knowing how. It comes like a flicker, like a breeze on your neck. Maybe it says, wait. Maybe it says, go now. Maybe it tells you to check on someone, to walk away, to open your heart. Intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't argue. It simply knows. It arrives without evidence, yet with perfect timing. And the more you honor it, the more clearly it speaks. The second language is symbol. The divine often uses signs to get your attention. Maybe it's a line from a song that hits you in just the right moment. Maybe it's a repeating number, 1111, 333, 777, showing up again and again. Maybe it's an animal that crosses your path, a dream that won't leave you, or a stranger saying the exact thing you needed to hear. These are not coincidences. These are divine breadcrumbs. God leaves clues, not commands. You are invited to follow, to feel, to trust. And then there's the third language, silence. Sacred silence. In that deep stillness, beyond thought and noise, you encounter the presence of something eternal. You sit, and suddenly the weight in your chest loosens. You breathe, and the storm inside starts to calm. You don't hear answers, but you feel truth. You don't solve problems, but you gain clarity. That silence is not empty. It is full of grace. Full of guidance. Full of God. So if the whisper is always there, why do we so often miss it? The answer is simple, but not easy. We are overwhelmed. Constantly stimulated. Emotionally exhausted. Spiritually undernourished. Our minds are busy trying to fix, plan, control, analyze. And the whisper doesn't live in the mind. It lives in the heart, the gut, the breath, the space between thoughts. We miss the whisper because we expect a trumpet. But the divine speaks in a feather touch. And sometimes, we're afraid to hear it. Because deep down, we already know what the whisper will say. Maybe it's time to leave that relationship. Maybe you've outgrown that job. Maybe you need to rest, forgive, slow down, or finally face the wound you've buried. The whisper doesn't always say what's easy. But it always says what's true. So how do we hear it again? How do we reconnect with that sacred voice? First, make space. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Turn off the noise. Sit in stillness. Breathe. Don't try to make something happen. Just show up. Your presence is the invitation. You are telling the divine, I'm here. I'm listening. And that is enough. Second, practice awareness. Pay attention to how guidance shows up in your life. Notice patterns. Reflect on dreams. Journal your nudges. Sometimes the message comes days before the meaning does. The whisper speaks in layers, and your awareness is what helps you unravel it. Third, tune into your body. Your body is the antenna of the soul. When something is right, you feel it. Peace floods in. Shoulders relax. Breath deepens. When something is off, there's resistance, tightness, hesitation. God often speaks through feeling. Not fear, but a calm knowing. Learn to feel the difference between anxiety and alignment. Fourth, ask. Ask directly. In prayer. In meditation. In quiet moments before sleep. Ask questions like, what do you want me to know? What is this trying to teach me? Where would you have me go today? Then, wait. Trust that the answer may come as a feeling, an encounter, a sudden knowing. The whisper doesn't always answer immediately. but it always answers. Fifth, honor what you receive. When you follow the whisper, even in small ways, it grows louder. It begins to weave into your daily life. You start making decisions not from fear, but from clarity. You stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment. You begin living not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You begin walking with God. The more you walk with God, the more you realize, the whisper was never separate. It is a part of you. It's been there since you were a child, before the noise, before the hurt, before the forgetting. It is the truest part of you. The soul remembers what the world made you forget. You were born with access to the divine. You were born with the ability to hear the voice of love, the voice of wisdom, the voice of truth. No religion owns it. No guru controls it. No one else can hear it for you. It is yours. It is sacred. And it is always available. So tonight, when the world is quiet, take a moment. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly. And ask, what do you want me to know? Don't force an answer. Just listen. Not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because the whisper is still speaking. It's always been speaking. And sometimes, one whisper is enough to change everything.